What's going on, Legion? Azrael here, like always. And if you've seen some of my music reactions lately, like the Browning was one, and we're going to be doing some more of that. What I was doing with some of these songs were things that I've heard that I've really liked, like loved, as like the best music for me to listen to. Some of the favorite stuff I like listening to, and sometimes I'll bring it up here. So a lot of the times I like to do reactions where it's just the first time I've ever heard it. But we're going to be checking out some songs. I'm going to be making multiple videos about like a band called The Browning, which are all songs that I've heard for the most part, but there's some of my favorite songs. And I'm doing this because there's some people that are like, I checked them out and a long time ago, and I was like, eh. But then you showed me this song, and I was like, bro, this song's really good. And I'm like, that's kind of the point. So I'm going to be checking out 2 Korn songs. I'm going to be making 2 different videos for them. This one is Can You Hear Me, which is a song that I've already heard. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. But it's considered, for me, one of my favorite songs, I think, in general right now. Then we're going to be checking out Cold, which I started to listen to, and I went, this is a very unique and different song that I haven't heard from Korn at all, really. But, like, it's not their main style. And I stopped listening to it, and I said, we're going to do this on a video. So we got one that we've heard that I want to make sure everybody's heard. I know sometimes people are like, but it is what it is. So sometimes people do like checking out some songs that you've already heard before. And let's just get into it, check it out, see what it's all about. Oh, it's good. I'll tell you right now, it's damn good. Let's actually turn down the volume a little bit. We're going to keep it a little louder, though.
Teeth in one at a time. It loves to feed, it loves my past. It's always taunting, but somehow out of grasp. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again.
So good, man. How can you not like this song? Oh, man.
It talks to me, it holds my hand, it showers me with things I can't understand. It has no reason, it knows no time, it's constantly watching, so it's not left behind. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. You 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 know I'll never be the same again.
There's just so many things I want to say.
Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. I know I'll never be the same again.
Everything about this song.
Never be the same again. I know I'll never be the same again. I know I'll never be the same again.
And then, yeah, it just kind of does a lot of this weird stuff. Yeah.
Be the same again.
So we can talk about the song, I guess, the video. Like the song, I think is on the radio play side where it's good to be played on the radio a lot. Funny thing is though, is when this came out like 8 months ago, I'd never heard it on the radio. I just heard it on the radio recently. Um, the music videos, of course, the cyber stalking and all that kind of stuff. But the one thing I want to really talk about with Korn is like they are one of the pillars of like this genre of music. Like you can go back and listen to "Falling Away from Me," which is one of my favorite songs by them, and you go, "That's like the reminds me of like the '90s, early 2000s, like that whole genre of music." That song reminds me of that era. Like when I think back, and it's like Jesus, man, like. But there are bands like say Chevelle or whoever that have just gone, like they just crumbled, right? Like they're no longer here. Like System of a Down's a different story because the lead singer and the lead guitarist just could not work together because the lead guitarist felt that he pretty much was the band that he should be doing more because he was like the most valuable person. Let's just say it was just a whole thing, right? And so that band's gone, right? System of a Down, another band that was gonna have that would and probably still does, but would have had a following that lasted forever, right? Korn is just one of those bands that it always has a following. Like for a lot of you that know who ICP is, right, Insane Clown Posse, they have their huge following, and their fans are always there. The problem is that sometimes their music doesn't really, it's not as, I don't know, it doesn't carry as far, right? Like Marilyn Manson, if it wasn't for Columbine, he'd still be huge, and his following still stays around too. If you're like, what the hell are you talking about? When that happened, for anybody that knows what Columbine is, when that happened, somebody, whether it was the news or another kid at school or a parent or somebody, unless I'm getting my stories mixed up, I'm pretty sure this is the right one. If I'm wrong, it's whatever. But somebody mentioned that those kids from the shooters listened to his music, and Marilyn Manson's music was deemed to be like Eminem, right? Kids do bad things, it's Eminem's fault because they listen to his music. Or it's Grand Theft Auto, right? The video game. Or Call of Duty for shootings. You know, Marilyn Manson for behavior. And this was like, you know, Columbine was what, 15 years ago or more almost? Or around that, I guess? You know, it's easy to blame music and people just run with it. And it still happens. You know, so, yeah, his career was kind of destroyed from that. I mean, not actually destroyed. He can keep going. But his mainstream following, his acceptability, was kind of lost. And so Korn is just one of those bands that haven't had any scandals like that I know of, that have kept doing music that is just still good. Like I don't know how to phrase it. I really don't. I feel like the genre of the music that they're in and what they represent for like the time they were going through, like the 90s and stuff like that, they are like the pillar. They are one of the main bands that embodies that style of music that we all like to listen to. Sometimes people come and go. Like there's other there's the same like rock genre, but there's different ways of doing it, right? Avenged Sevenfold is another way of doing things. And although they've had some incredible music, like after Backcountry, like their climb in the mainstream world was just kind of gone. Like they just weren't there anymore. For the mainstream world, like I never saw them anywhere. Of course, I listened to all their music, but I never really saw them anywhere, and nobody talked about them. Nobody my age in high school or beyond ever listened to Avenged Sevenfold or talked about them. So there's that. And people can do different versions of it, but I think Korn is like, I feel like Korn is like the generator of the genre that they're in, right? Like they are that music, and people emulate them, and that's why they last. And also smart decisions. Years and years ago, they did a song with Ice Cube called "Fuck Dying," and it's a great song. It's a freaking fantastic song. If you haven't heard that song, check it out, or maybe we'll check it out here. Yeah, maybe we'll just watch it if you want it. If you want to let me know in the comments, I'll check that out for sure. But and then later on, when like the the Ultra, if you know the Ultra festival for like the EDM style music and all that, when that was like really huge and like what 3 years ago maybe, it was like really exploding like really hard. Even sometime even a little earlier, when Skrillex was huge, Korn did a song with Skrillex called "Get Up," and that's a really good song. So they've also branched out and kind of mixed it up a little bit. I don't know if they've done. They did a like they've done a live Beastie Boys song. Like at a concert, they did a Beastie Boys song with Slipknot. Right? They branch out in the right ways. They do things the right way, and they do music the right way, and that's why they're still here. That's why this song came out 8 months ago, right? And it's a freaking great song. And they've evolved with the times. They keep their style, but then they also mix in things that maybe they're. And that's the other part about being creative. If you're creative in your genre, in your time, your music's going to be the same, right? And that's how some bands will never evolve, and that's why they kind of fizzle out, right? Like, say, some of the grunge stuff that never evolved because grunge died for the most part. And like Chevelle just kind of trickled away because that style of music just wasn't there anymore for people. Although I never really listened to Chevelle when they were out. I've heard of their songs like Hats Off to the Bull or whatever it is, and Get Some, and a lot of those songs, which are actually really good songs. They're like their best songs, I think, and they're actually songs I listen to now. But Korn is, I think, is a band that keeps that style, like the way they sing, sometimes the instruments, but they've added little things here and there to give it a fresh feel. Sometimes they do songs that are in the current way that aren't necessarily like Cold. Cold is a song that doesn't really fit. Doesn't really fit in anything for the most part that I think of. They've done some songs I think like it, but I haven't heard a lot of them. So yeah, Korn just is one of those bands, man, that just they keep doing things their way, but then they also keep bringing some songs that are for the mainstream, for the here and the now. Not what they're comfortable with, but maybe they're creative and it's what they want to do, right? And that's how people evolve. And the only reason why a band doesn't evolve is because, or doesn't keep going on, is because they can't evolve, because they don't have that creativity. They only have so much creativity, and it's for whatever they're doing. They can't get with the times, right? Which is one thing you'll see for a lot of pop people, like Bieber or Ariana Grande or Demi Lovato. They all keep going, or they even set the trends, right? And that's I guess another thing. Korn could probably set their trend, but they're doing songs like this. This doesn't feel like 90s to 2000s. It has a little bit of the weird music they're doing in the beginning and throughout the song does remind me kind of like the tone of like Falling Away From Me, the dun, like you know how that song goes, and how it has those long drawn out tones, and this does too, but it has like an equalizer or a synthesizer or something with it, and it has it sounds different, but it's the same drawn out tone, and that even though it's like the same tone or the same style of they're drawing out that note, it still reminds you of the song that came out in like 99 or something like that, but it's all crazy and new, right? So they're like it's just good, man. They just do things the right way. I really like it. I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm not gonna talk that much during the Cold song, I'll tell you that, but I'm gonna go check out the Cold song. So thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out. I'm excited to hear that song all the way through, and I'll see you on every video I'm doing next. Later, guys.